That system is called Veloci-Docs. It's a locally installed Windows program. It installs on your local Windows machine. The records stay local on your machine. They don't have to be uploaded. You maintain control of your records. We have two main views of Veloci-Docs. We have the file view here, and then we also have the data view here. Program's been optimized for use on multiple monitors. So there's two innovations that make Veloci-Docs extremely powerful. One is the unified workspace, and that's what we're looking at right here. But what may not be evident to you is that we're not just looking at the pages from a single PDF, we're looking at all of the pages from all of those PDFs. So if we look down here at the bottom, we're looking at 109 different files containing 574 pages. So in this left-hand scroll, we've got 574 pages from 109 different PDFs. Prior to this demonstration, I've added all those files to this unified workspace. So you can see the green checkbox indicates the files that I've already added to this workspace. You can add new files anytime. It appends them to the bottom of the stack. You can see down here we have 110, 576 pages now. So we've got all our pages in this unified workspace. And as we move through the stack, you'll notice down here, the bottom of the screen, it tells us exactly which PDF we're looking at and the page number of that PDF. As we move through the pages and documents, it'll change down here and tell us which PDF. We always know which PDF we're looking at. If I want to look at that individual PDF, I can even click right here and it'll open that PDF in my PDF reader. If I need to print it off or just want to examine that document by itself. So all of our pages are now available in this unified workspace. No more opening and closing hundreds of PDFs multiple times. Huge time savings waiting for Adobe or your PDF reader to launch and open and review those pages and then close and repeat. Once they're in here, they're instantly available all the time. As we import them into this workspace, we run them through a powerful pre-processing engine, which again makes this unified workspace so useful. That pre-processing engine is doing a number of things. It's looking for blank pages, it's detecting blank pages, it's detecting duplicate pages, and it's also performing a full OCR conversion of the pages that are imported. We also highlight certain terms that are on a preset list of terms called our points of interest system. You can notice the yellow highlight here on this page. As we come across terms on that list, the system throws a yellow highlight to serve as a visual indicator so that when you're reviewing this records, you know to slow down in this area. Here's one of those words that you said was important. That system's completely customizable in the options section. So here's our preset list of terms that's relevant to the MSA life care planning world. But you can add terms to this list, take terms off this list, modify it at any time. And that will function to throw that yellow highlight on those pages even before you get there. So when you hit a page, you know it's got some important stuff on it because it's got one of the terms you said to look for. Again, now that we have all these pages in our unified workspace, we can treat them as a group. So our searches, come over to the search feature, our searches become instantly more powerful. I've just searched across all those PDFs instantly. I don't have to open them individually and search for a particular term. I've just searched across all of them. I don't have to merge them all up into a giant PDF and then search that and then try and figure out what PDF this particular page came from. I can search across all my pages instantly. This hit list stays up available till I clear it. So, as I said, one of the other things we're doing was detecting those blank pages. You might notice this red overlay on this page. That indicates the system's detected it as a blank. So now that we're treating these PDFs as metadata because we never change, modify, or alter the original records. They stay in their original byte count. All of the Veloci-Docs data tagging and markup is done outside of those PDFs in a proprietary Veloci-Docs file. But now that we've got the pages into the workspace, we can treat them as a group. We come over to our data view here, you'll notice we've got some buttons across the top here. This is the unified workspace filtering system. Right now we're looking at all pages. So it's showing us all pages from all the records. If I want to not look at those blanks and duplicates, I can turn on the not hidden filter. That instantly removes all the blanks and duplicates from the stack of records that I need to review. I've instantly reduced the page count by removing those or hiding those blanks and duplicate records. So that's the not hidden filter. If I want to go look and see what was actually blank and duplicate, I can turn on the all hidden filter. See, now I'm only looking at the blanks and duplicates. This particular record set of 500 plus pages, these blanks and duplicates represented 10% of the received pages. So I've instantly reduced 10% of my pages by doing just by importing them into the program. No extra steps needed. As soon as you import the pages, the records, it automatically marks the blanks and duplicates. One click on the not hidden filter removes them from the stack. We also provide a duplicates filter. That's to check the duplicates. That puts them in matched pairs. You can see we've got the original and then the duplicate that it detected. Several copies of that record. See that often. So a duplicate checker to make sure that the OCR engine is performing well. Again, we can go back to that not hidden. There's a few more quality assurance filters that we're not going to cover in this particular demo because of time. But those are the important ones. All pages, not hidden. That instantly reduces my page count right there, hides all those blanks and duplicates. So the unified workspace with its all of the pages available all the time from all of my records, I can always know which record I'm going to cite. Right down here at the bottom, I can see the citation. I have a rapid PDF rendering engine. If you notice, with keyboard shortcuts for everything, I'm going to use the down arrow key to surf through these pages now. You can see how quick that engine is at rendering PDF pages. Left and right arrow function as zoom, control the zoom control. So if I keep that right hand on my arrow keys, I can achieve very rapid page review. And that left hand is available for the next powerful Veloci-Docs innovation, the data tagging system. You may notice across the top of the screen here some buttons. The letters in front are the keyboard shortcuts for those buttons. Those control our data tagging system. For instance, my eyes were drawn here to this portion of the page by the points of interest system, and I notice a full thickness rotator cuff tear. Well, if I want to capture that comorbidity because it's important to my record, I can bang an M on the keyboard and it brings up that add comorbidity fly-in. Pre-populated it with a list of common comorbidities. So you can just start typing comorbidity you want to capture, and it's an intelligent type ahead search. It finds the entry, and we submit. Notice I get a data tag on that page indicating a comorbidity was found. If I hover it, it tells me what it is. Come over to our data view. Notice in our comorbidities column, now we've got an entry of rotator cuff tear. So I'm starting to as I capture information, these columns are going to fill up with data. They function as hyperlinks as well. If later on I want to try and remember who said he had a rotator cuff tear, where did I find that in the record set? I can simply double click on it. It brings me right back to that page. So functions as hyperlinks. So I'm starting to build up a navigation aid that I can use to navigate and drive around these records. Same thing with ICD codes. As I discover ICD codes stack, so ICD codes are one of those points of interest. So it's found some here. I can quickly capture those, but just by typing the numbers. We've preloaded it with ICD 9 and 10 codes, huge time savings because I don't have to look those codes up. Simply type the numbers that I see on the record, searches the list and finds the exact code with its description. I can capture that quickly. Repeat that for all those codes if they were important to my record, my report. Got a new chip saying an ICD code was indicated on this page. Over to our data view. Got a new entry of ICD code, a rotator cuff strain. We can also put notes on a particular page, and that's just a way to bookmark a page or to favorite a page so you can quickly get back to it. One of the useful things for that is maybe you come to the end of the record set, post a note on that end, say end of records, 11:05. These spell checks active in these boxes. So I can quickly put a note on the page, on any page, and jump back to it quickly. Over in our notes section, we receive additional records a few months later and need to do a revision. We import some new records. I can quickly find where those records start by jumping right to the end of the records on that date. Or if I need to put a note on a page to confer with the attorney on, I'm not sure on something, I could put a note on a page and easily get back to it quickly. Let's talk about the provider tagging system because that's another powerful tool. We used to spend an inordinate amount of time organizing these records by provider and then putting them in a timeline order. That process of reorganization often resulted in losing the original source records of the PDF. So checkbacks with the client and when the questions like where did you find that were very hard to answer. So we came up with a way with our provider tags to totally eliminate the need to pre-sort and destroy the document integrity of your original record sets. When you come across and want to identify providers and organize your records by provider by time, you do that with the provider tagging system. Notice here P on the keyboard or the button. Notice I get a green bar on this page. If I'm going to capture this evaluation as important to my record set, include in my reports, do that by adding provider tags. Notice the green bar. Green bar indicates that I'm in the middle of a provider selection because there might be multiple pages that go along with this record. Click on them or use the down arrow key to find the bottom of that record set, the end of that record set. Like that's the end there. So if I finish now, I get the add provider fly in. I put the date of the visit, date here. And I enter the provider's name. Notice some in the list already. It remembers the providers that you've put in previously. Moving forward, you will build up a database of providers. Very important if you're likely to encounter more records from this provider in the stack. And next time you come across them, they'll be in the list for you to select. You're only ever going to put a provider in one time. And as you move through cases, you'll build up a database of those providers. But we submit there. You'll notice I get P chips on those pages now, getting they're part of a provider set. Come over to our data view window. Notice we have a new entry and the start of a timeline of care. So as we come across provider records and identify them just by the provider and the date, the system will automatically sort them by provider and then put them in timeline order. So at the end of the identification phase, you'll have a chronology of the care moving down this column. You'll get a feel for what that feels like in just a second. Let's talk about quarantines. Now, I know quarantines mean something different in the pandemic world, but in the Veloci-Docs world, quarantines are just a way to organize your pages, to organize related pages. You can think of quarantines as folders or trays or file cabinets. It's a way to group like pages together. For instance, if as you're moving through the record review process, if you want to segregate off to the side all the billing records or all the prescriptions that you come across, you can use the quarantine tool to add those records to a group and then treat them as a group. For instance, if I was going to set aside all the billing records, you here on the keyboard or click the button, I get a purple bar this time to indicate I'm in the middle of a selection. See if there's additional pages. No, just the one page for this time. Finish. I bring up the add one page to a quarantine. So we've pre-populated it with some reasons you might quarantine some records, but you can name the quarantine anything you like. So it becomes a very powerful organizational tool. If I submit that, notice the chip on that page. It indicates that it's added that page to the billing quarantine. As I go through the stack and come across additional billing records, if I add those to the billing quarantine, get my purple bar. There's a multi-page record. Yeah, looks like 3 pages with that one. Finish. Billing's already there this time. Select that. I've added those 3 pages to the billing quarantine. That has the effect of letting me segregate those pages off to the side. You notice I have an entry in my billing quarantine now. If I double click this entry, turns on that filter. So now I've got the billing filter turned on. So if we come back over to our pages, I'm only looking at the 4 pages that I entered into the billing quarantine. So I can examine those pages, even though they occurred throughout the record stack and maybe in 20 different documents. Now I can look at those pages as a group, only those pages. But I didn't have to merge, extract, and merge into new PDFs and therefore lose my original, where my original record came from. I can look at these as a group and treat them as a group. And take notes here, quarantine summaries. I have a place to take notes or summarize these particular sets of pages. Maybe they want a list of all the creditors. Maybe they want a list of all the charges. I can cut, copy, and paste right from this record as well, since we've done a full OCR conversion. Right now, I drew a box around that text right there, automatically copies it to the keyboard, and come to my summary and put it in. Depending on the quality of the record, the OCR may do better on different records. Get a place to summarize these records. Later on, if you were to export these pages, this summary would appear as the first page backed up by your actual records that you base your analysis on. So that's quarantines, a powerful way to segregate pages off to the side, summarize, take notes, or summarize those particular sets of pages. Have as many quarantines as you like. We also have a second level of data tags that are useful for summarizing actual care records. Once you have identified your providers, then you can go back and actually start to review those records and start to summarize the care in those records. You notice the providers function as that filter as well. So double clicking on a particular provider turns on that filter for that provider. So if I come back to my record stack, I'm not looking at all 576 pages anymore. I'm just looking at this provider's records. If I wanted to summarize that care of this particular provider, talk about what this provider did, I have some powerful ways to do that. I have a medical summary that I can write on this particular provider. So if I'm the type of user who's just going to summarize these records by typing a summary or drafting some reports or maybe just pulling some information out of the record, paste right from the record, or I can just type as I'm next to my records and type along a summary of the care that was delivered by this provider. Or in conjunction with, use the key treatment point and click system. This is a very powerful menu driven system that allows you to rapidly capture information about a particular record set. We activate that by pressing K on the keyboard or key K here, brings up the menu system. So we've got lots of choices here that we can quickly drill down and capture and summarize information about this record. See here, record reviewed. We had an evaluation on this date, picked up the date from the provider. There was a complaint of shoulder pain. And I can cut and paste right from the record. There was a finding of a torn rotator cuff tear. There were some x-rays that were ordered. There were some studies that were done. There were some labs, some therapies, some surgeries. Maybe there were some meds that were indicated. So whatever you're seeing here in the record, you have a click to quickly capture that information, and then you can cut and paste or type into the record to summarize this set of records. That results in a way to summarize the record that when you come back and you're writing your report, you don't have to reinterpret the record. You can look at your summary. So let me open a fully worked file now and you'll get a feel for what that looks like. So now we're looking at that same set of records, but with the data tagging system in full view. So as ICD codes and comorbs were captured, they were now indicated here in our columns. I can use them to drive around the records set. By double clicking them, they'll take me right to those records and I can review where those records were found and showing the hidden pages now. So I can turn on that not hidden filter, hide those. I have all my providers and all the different visits from each of those providers listed underneath them. So I have this timeline that I can now move through instead of trying to guess where I am in the care record when I look at a page. Now I can know I'm at my earliest care by turning on this filter and summarizing this particular provider's record set. Later on, when I'm writing my report and I've already summarized them using the key treatment system or the medical summary, I can call that information up quickly, maybe paste it into my report, or quickly review the summary that I made, pull up the key treatment event viewer, secondary view we provide, expand all. So once I've data tagged this thing, I've already data summarized this record once. When I'm writing my report, I don't want to have to go back and look at the actual pages and reinterpret them. I'm going to look at the summary. I already pulled out the important pages, the important information from those pages. So now I can look at this summary, jump right to particular items. If I decide I don't want a particular item in my report, I can remove it here. It's not important. Jump right to those pages where those records were indicated. I can modify it if I need to. So a way to reconsume that data that you've already captured in a rapid fashion. The data tagging system becomes a way to drive and navigate around your records. And if you just wanted to look at all those prescriptions that you set aside, activate the prescription summary quarantine. See, that's active now. Now, instead of looking at all those pages, I'm just looking at the quarantines. If I need to do maybe a cost projection or something like that on prescriptions, and that summary is available, I could maybe cut and paste a list of all the drugs that were prescribed right from my record and come up with that list. We didn't do But again, right next to the records, I'm just looking at the prescription summaries now. So that organizational tool becomes powerful in bringing like pages, related pages together for examination and as a group. So powerful way to to drive around the record set and move around it without having to scroll through all the pages. As you captured information, you entered the data tags, and now you can use those clicks to move you around the set. You don't have to remember where you found something. So when you're compiling your report and you have questions and you got a report, well, I need to double check things, and I can quickly get back to where it's time to double check it. So we've talked a lot about how you can capture information and quickly summarize information using unified workspace in conjunction with the data tagging system. Now it's time, you've captured all your information and it's time to write your report. So let's look at our export feature. Come over to view, come over to the export view. So based on the data tags we've put in the system, I have a number of available exports. So the more tags you put in, the more exports that'll be available. Include one or more of these sections in a new PDF. Lots of different options here. So for instance, if you needed to send off all those billing records to the attorney, that would export a new PDF with 90 pages of billing records. Or an attorney is going to depose a particular doctor. You could just export the 44 pages from this particular provider in 2018 or 2018 and 2019 for that particular provider. Again, those two sections would appear in a new PDF. I can drag and drop these around and control the order that they appear in my new PDF. I can optionally show page citations. That does is on the bottom of each exported page, it includes this information that's displayed down here. So you know which page, which PDF the actual page came from. Sample of that right here. The bottom of each page, it prints the name and page number of the page in that set, even though they could have come from 50 different PDFs. Each page will tell you which PDF it came from in your export. Or I can do all providers in a particular year or all providers records, period. It's interesting to note right here, this all providers. So this is all the records that were identified as relevant to this case. 93 pages. Recall we had 534 pages. So if I was just to dump all these records on a QME, I'd have to pay for 534 pages. But if I identify my important records first, I've reduced that down to 93 pages. And now I can just export the 93 pages of actual records, medical records that need to be pulled out all my facts cover sheets, my instructions, all that stuff. I've quickly identified my provider records that I need to quickly export those to a new PDF and ship that off for review versus dumping all this on my review. All your quarantines are available for export. You can export your lists, your comorbs, your ICD codes, and your notes. So here's a sample of that summary by time. So this would represent a true timeline of care. So your providers may appear multiple times in this list. Spits that information back out that you captured, gives a little bit of formatting, all the medical summaries, the key treatment events that you captured, tests, on to the next provider, medical summary, all the key treatment events that you captured. Again, a clean, unbranded PDF for you to cut, copy, and paste into your report. And the other version of that is by provider, which would just the same report, just grouped by provider. All the providers' care appears together versus in a true timeline. So a lot of powerful exports. So to summarize, the unified workspace solves, a lot of problems. Number one, it's all of our documents, all of our pages, all of the time. More opening and closing hundreds of documents. Our original source records are never altered. We always know if somebody says, "Where did you find that?" and we tell them where we found that, it looks exactly like the records that were supplied. An automatic OCR conversion with blank page and duplicate page detection, and we don't lock you out of the pages while that review is processing. We estimate that our OCR conversion engine is capable of 900 to 1300 pages per hour, but we don't lock you out while that conversion is occurring. You can still click around and look at your pages. You can add data tags. Unlike a lot of other products out there that lock you out of the file while it's being converted, we do not. It occurs in the background, and you continue your work. And that engine speed of 900 pages to 1300 pages an hour, you're unlikely to get ahead of that engine. It's always going to be ahead of you. So you can search across all your PDF records with no extra steps. Source page citations are always available. We have a points of interest system that highlights relevant data for you ahead of time. That 64-bit page rendering engine delivers rapid page loading speed. Again, hide blanks and duplicates to drastically reduce that page count. So that happens automatically behind the scenes. And then furthermore, you can use the provider tags and the quarantine tags to reduce and organize just the pages that you want to get out for review. Data tagging system, the problems that solves, no more pre-sort. I don't have to pre-sort my records. I can just tag them as I come across them, and the system will automatically sort them by provider, by time. Data entry, I don't have to put in that provider one time. I'm never going to type that provider's name again. It's going to be available from the list. Great time savings. You can copy text straight from the pages and paste anywhere inside Veloci-Docs or in my report. I have a point and click capture system that I can capture, summarize care data, preloaded with comorbidities, ICD-9 and 10 codes, maximize for use on multiple displays, keyboard shortcuts to speed your data entry, way to review and navigate the records with the dashboard, pose custom summaries right next to my records, move around and keep that summary up and add to it as I go. Lastly, a robust export functions to include in your final products. So, guys, that's Veloci-Docs in 20, 25 minutes.